One of the reasons I liked it, and I've always said this, with great superstar players, pay them early. Everybody else, be patient. I have no problem signing Josh Allen to another big deal. By the way, he did not break the bank. And what does that tell you? That outside of all his unbelievable physical traits, he's also got an emotional one and an intelligence. He gets the big picture. That's why winning matters the most. That's why Tom Brady signed a massive deal with Fox when he left the NFL. The winning thing. Because Kirk Cousins made more money playing football than Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the winning thing. And I've thought about this before. Michael Jordan and Iverson were iconic, huge in pop culture. Won 6 rings, won none.
Okay.
Why are businesses still throwing money at MJ? It's the winning. If Michael Jordan, as great as he was 2-4 in finals, it wouldn't feel the same. So individual success in pro sports makes people like you. Individual success with team success makes you a legend. And that's the difference. Dan Marino, maybe the most talented quarterback to ever get into pads, is talked about less than Eli Manning, who was a completely mediocre regular season quarterback. So Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce, not the Jacksonville Jaguars tight end. There's a reason. Winning makes you more attractive to everybody. Broadcast networks, advertisers, teammates, iconic status. A lot of guys have that. A lot of guys are popular. A lot of guys are rich. And in NBA, NFL, baseball, they're all rich. You know, scoring titles is not what people talk about 20 years later. Karl Malone was like 3rd all-time in scoring 2 years ago. Nobody talks about him. Nobody talks about Dan Marino. Not blaming him. Rory McIlroy was talking to Golf Digest last year, and he said, I'm in way better financial position now than I was a decade ago, and my life is no different. Same 3 or 4 rooms in my house. So congratulations on the 9th car for all pro athletes. But Josh Allen sums it up. I didn't want to bankrupt my team.
When you start getting these fairly big numbers throughout the entire league, it's weird to say this, but what's 5 more going to do for my life that I can't already do right now? I wasn't looking to absolutely kill them in every chance that I could, and I told my agent that. I was like, hey, if this has any impact on the pack, or impact on the cap, I should say, let's figure out a way to not do that.
You know, and by the way, the game day revenue for Buffalo is not as good as like Los Angeles or Philadelphia or, you know, so the truth of the matter is so much in this NFL, Buffalo's not a big free agent market. It doesn't have massive game day revenue. They don't charge those prices. So, you know, that bank account may not be as big as Jeffrey Lurie's of Philadelphia. So there's a lot of things to consider when you play in Buffalo or Green Bay. Like, what's a house cost in Buffalo? What are the taxes in Buffalo compared to like in L.A.? So, to me, like Matt Stafford could have gone and made more money. You're in Los Angeles. You have Sean McVay. You have Puka Nacua. You have one of the richest owners. So I look at Buffalo and I'm like, the front office appears to be capable, really solid ownership, really solid B-plus coach, great left tackle, so you get protected. They've got a great running back. So, and I said this for years and years about Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's an all-time great player. Everybody loved Dwayne Wade. But you have to think about this stuff. So Dwayne Wade gets drafted out of Marquette, grows up in cold weather, and ends up in Miami. Great owner, Mickey Arison. Best GM in the league, Pat Riley. Ends up getting Eric Spoelstra, top 3 coach. No state tax. The NBA is a winter league, the best winter weather in America. Like, there's got to, I mean, if you're not considering that stuff, you're nuts. I've moved 4 times across country. I consider everything. So, like, it's like Aaron Rodgers and the Giants and the Steelers. I don't have to sell my house. I have an offensive coach. I have a great weapon. I have a great left tackle. That stuff matters, not just, well, Pittsburgh's got a better roster. Pittsburgh's offense is no better with Aaron Rodgers than New York's would be. It's a bunch of high-maintenance wide receivers, and they can't get their own line right, and they put draft capital into it. So it's to me, it's about winning. It's about keeping the band together. And, I mean, I don't even need to mention certain quarterbacks in this league. They want to make every penny. Congrats. How many cars and houses? Do you want to win games? That's what it comes down. Now, I will say this. When Brady was taking pay cuts forever, I would have had a problem because I think Buffalo drafts pretty well. I think Buffalo, so I'll give up some money. Are you spending it wisely? I think they have. They've tried to get him wide receivers, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs. So Buffalo has tried to use the money to help him. Kincaid, the tight end, first-round pick. James Cook, excellent. They paid Deion Dawkins. So Buffalo, what used to drive me crazy for Brady, and I said this when I worked at the other place, he was taking pay cuts as the league's best quarterback. What do they have to show for it? They never drafted a good receiver. They wouldn't spend any big money on a wide receiver. So now Brady won, but at the end, Tom left New England not because of the weather and Belichick. He left because New England had no skill people. So they were taking money from Tom forever, and he didn't see the benefit of it. I don't have a problem if I give back a little bit to my company if I feel I'm getting value.
Yeah. Okay. Colin said a lot here. I'd love to go rewatch this clip and see how much he actually talked about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills relative to, because he's talking about Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, Dwayne Wade, Tom Brady. we're having LA taxes and Miami taxes. There's, I get what he's saying, obviously, and I love Colin, and honestly him just kind of talking about everything and anything is very much what I enjoy. It's kind of how I approach things as well, just kind of, getting lost in the weeds and meandering and just doing long form, just talking about anything. But when it comes to Buffalo Bills, like right now in this moment in time, it's just like I have such a one track mind of just kind of like, how do the Bills get to where they need to? Because when you start naming Dan Marino and Alverson and all of this and, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, I'm just like, the Buffalo Bills cannot be a team that does not win a Super Bowl when you have Josh Allen as your quarterback. Because Josh Allen is just that special, that great. And obviously since the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I've been talking about them a ton, and understandably so. But when you look at a team like that who's been able to, pretty much right around win 2 Super Bowls since Josh Allen was drafted, as well as, at the least, definitely since Josh Allen has even been in his prime for the most part, relative prime, the Eagles have gone to 2 Super Bowls and won one. With different rosters, different coaching staff. This isn't like they just kind of had this stacked roster from the jump, or they had been building it before, then they just kind of got a quarterback. Like this was a series of many moves and failures and changes and etc. And they're able to find a way. And I look at a team like the Buffalo Bills, and I just think to myself, like, I don't even just think to myself, I scream it, like, you have to find a way. There's just one woman, I won't say any names, and I'll keep it very limited in terms of the information, but I come across her. She works at like at a place that I go. I don't know. In case she's watching, I'm being weird about it. It's nothing weird. But I at like a doctor's office kind of a thing. And she's a big Buffalo Bills fan, and she's like, oh, how do you feel about these moves and this or that? And I just think to myself, like, all of these moves, all of the things that they do, it's time, right? It's time for you to just really deeply feel this is the year. This is the season. This is not even just the year, like this is their true run now. This is the Josh Allen era. You should be able to be like, oh, remember when Patrick Mahomes lost to the Philadelphia Eagles? Yeah, that was pretty much the end of the Mahomes era. And then that's when Josh Allen went off and, he went to, 2 of the next 4 Super Bowls and 1, 2, whatever it is, like that's like, it needs to become that. because Colin says Josh Allen, or that Dan Marino is the best quarterback, or best football player. I forget exactly how he phrased it, to put on pads. And I'm just like, dude, you watch Josh Allen and it feels like he could literally play every single position. Like, he is an absolute freak of nature. He is transcendent. He's almost frustrating to watch because you're just like, man, I would do anything to just to have the ability to do literally anything. Has to be one of the coolest feelings ever. For him to be able to walk on a football field and just be able to literally do anything just has to be the coolest thing ever. I mean, it is. It's just, it's a literal superpower. More so than we see with other great, special, awesome quarterbacks. It's just, Colin always called LeBron James like the ultimate Swiss Army knife for basketball. And that's how I see Josh Allen. And anytime I ever got into some debates about Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, who's better, and I just, what I always say is that there is nothing that Josh Allen can't do, and other quarterbacks can't say that. Not Lamar, not Burrow, not Jalen, not Mahomes, Dan Marino, and that's what it gets boiled down to. And there's nothing that, again, we'll keep it with Mahomes. And again, we're not turning this into a Mahomes debate, but like, there's just nothing that I see that like a Mahomes does better than Josh Allen. And there's plenty that Josh Allen does better. And right, you talk about that, it's all the wins. And I agree with what Colin is saying in that regard. Although it's, if you're saying that Taylor Swift is only dating Travis Kelce because, he won some Super Bowls, it's, seems pretty shallow to me. And she's the billionaire. She's got all the money, all the fortune, the fame. Like, like she can't date a football player for the Tennessee Titans because it's not cool enough, I guess. Like, all right, and then best of luck in that relationship then, man. I'm sure they'll live happily ever after. But I do get it, obviously. But again, to also use Iverson and Jordan as a reference, it's like Jordan actually played with other Hall of Famers. Allen Iverson had like one season. I think it was only one season, but it was very short. If it was a little bit more with, Mutombo. And that was near the end of his career, Mutombo's career. Like, he never had actual Hall of Famers. He had guys, he played with players who no one will ever know their name, whether they won rings or not. Nobody will ever remember their names unless you're like a diehard Sixers fan. So, the teams matter. Who you have is your coach. All of this stuff matters. It's not on Josh Allen's shoulders, honestly. It's always so absurd. And when occasionally I get in some argument with someone in the comment section when they want to be like, oh, Josh Allen can't get the job done or this or that. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Josh Allen does everything. Everything. Like, this is from Warren Sharp. I almost want to make this a separate video, but in the last 5 seasons, only 2 teams have exceeded 55 regular season wins. The Chiefs, 66, and the Bills, 61. In the playoffs, the Chiefs have 4 conference championships, 2 Super Bowls. Meanwhile, the Bills have 0 conference championships, 0 Super Bowls. It's not so simple to suggest that the Bills are great in the regular season and bad in the playoffs. In fact, in the playoffs over the last 5 years, Bills have 12 games played, second most in the NFL, and 7 wins, second most in the NFL. Beyond that, they actually have a winning record in the NFL playoffs, 12 games, 7 wins, 5 losses. There are only 6 other teams with a winning record in the playoffs the last 5 years. All of them have at least 1 conference championship victory, Super Bowl appearance to show for it. Chiefs, Rams, Eagles, Buccaneers, Bengals, 49ers, but not the Bills. Let's look at Josh Allen. You cannot blame Josh Allen. Cannot blame Josh Allen's overall performance as a reason they cannot seem to accomplish their goals of making it to and then winning the Super Bowl. If you look at 24 quarterbacks with at least 50 playoff pass attempts since 2020, Josh Allen is the number 1 most efficient quarterback in the playoffs. Number 1 in EPA per play, number 1 in success rate. We know how badly turnovers affect games, particularly in the postseason. That hasn't been an issue for Allen. He has the number one touchdown to interception ratio in the postseason over the last 5 years. He's the number one of all time. He has thrown 25 playoff touchdowns to only 4 interceptions, a touchdown interception ratio of 6.3 that ranks 1. In their 5 playoff losses, the Bills have averaged 24.6 points per game, which not only is above the scoring average in the playoffs for all teams 24.5, but is substantially above the scoring average for teams that lose playoff games 18.8. That's a big key number right there too. In fact, the Bills averaged 24.6 points per game scored in playoff losses over the last 5 years. In playoff losses over the last 5 years is number 1 most of any NFL team with at least 3 playoff losses. Opponents scored an average of 33.2 points in Buffalo's 5 playoff losses over that span. It's hard to pin those defeats on Allen, which I obviously 100% agree with. In those losses, he has thrown 9 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions, and his 4.5 touchdown to interception ratio is number 2 in the NFL among playoff losing quarterbacks. Allen has also added 3 rushing touchdowns, tied for most in the NFL in his playoff losses. His 2.4 total touchdowns per game ranks second best among playoff losing quarterbacks, and his 0.4 interceptions per game ranks third best. Avoiding sacks is also critical, and Allen's 4.3% sack rate ranks 5th best. So, it's just kind of crazy. And that's why when we look at Patrick Mahomes, let's compare Josh Allen's performance in his playoff losses 5 to Patrick Mahomes in his losses over the last 3. And keep in mind, there have been 18 quarterbacks with at least 2 playoff losses in our sample. Josh Allen in playoff losses plays better than Patrick Mahomes. Number 1 in EPA per play, number 2 in EPA per dropback. Patrick Mahomes in playoff losses, number 15. So he's 15 out of 18. And then in the other losses, 18th. So even in playoff losses, Allen has delivered more efficient performances than any other quarterback. Patrick Mahomes has been the worst. In his 5 playoff losses, Allen has a 9-2 touchdown interception ratio. In his 3 playoff losses, Mahomes has a 6-6 touchdown interception ratio. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. And I'm not sure if this is even including the Super Bowl, because it's playoffs. He's lost 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, this is not even up to date then for the Super Bowl, or might just not even. It might be just considering like playoffs and not. It might be isolating the Super Bowl. I'm not sure. Because in his 3 playoff losses, he's lost 2 Super Bowls. He lost to the lost to the Patriots. Back in 2018, right? It was the Patriots, right? And then he lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. So, even this is going to be more aggressive than that. So I'd have to see kind of how he does it if he's removing the Super Bowl as its own entity, I guess, because it's the Super Bowl. Because he in playoff losses in Super Bowl losses, it's as ugly and as bad as it gets. But it's just kind of crazy. It really, really is. And I made a separate video talking about this before. Allen has also recorded 293 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns in those games. His 59 rushing yards per game is over double Mahomes' 26 rushing yards per game. And Mahomes does not have a rushing touchdown. Because that's also the thing. And I used to know these stats a lot better, but it was something like 9 of their last 12 or 9 of their last 13 playoff games in general, not just losses or wins now, but just in general, Josh Allen had to be the leading rusher for the Buffalo Bills. And Patrick Mahomes was only like 3 or 4 times. Again, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's something within that range. I had calculated before and made a whole video about it. And it was just kind of really to highlight just how much Josh Allen is asked to do for his team and just how much he performs. And so, again, it's on the Buffalo Bills, not Josh Allen. He's doing everything he can to put his team in a position to win. And you can even see in the losses, you can't say he lost the game. Was he 100% perfect? Obviously not. But if you're expecting this quarterback to be 100% perfect every time, it's just kind of insane. So yeah, you know, it really is just kind of a wait and see with the Buffalo Bills to see what can they do to finally get this team to be what they're meant to be. To have Josh Allen truly reach the levels of greatness that he's clearly capable of achieving. Josh Allen should be in the GOAT conversation. But since the Buffalo Bills can't win Super Bowls, that conversation's nowhere to be found. And the Buffalo Bills need to go all in on trying to figure that out. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen? Do you trust Buffalo to build a Super Bowl roster around him? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here. I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.